Good evening, I'm Fana Sheh and this is AWANI Tonight. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim unveils his much-anticipated cabinet lineup with UMNO President Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and GPS Chief Whip Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof as his deputies. The cabinet also include a list of 24 others comprising of members of parliament from Pakatan Harapan, Barisan Nasional, GPS as well as GRS.
Saya telah menetapkan bahawa dalam jemaah menteri Kerajaan Perpaduan yang diutamakan adalah soal tata kelola dan good governance dan isu yang boleh atau langkah-langkah yang harus diambil untuk meringankan beban rakyat, sementara fokus utama tetap pemacuan ekonomi.
For the full list and latest updates, you can visit astroawani.com. For now, we have Shazwan Mustafa Kamal from Verns and Partners to share his initial thoughts on the cabinet lineup and the appointment of Datuk Seri Zahid Hamidi as the Deputy Prime Minister.
By all intents and purposes, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has had to navigate a very delicate balance between, I think, managing expectations. He's got a lot of new allies within government, and I think call a spade a spade. It is a cabinet of compromise. I think he managed it quite well considering the circumstances. I think a few appointments will certainly stick out. First in mind will probably be Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's appointment as DPM, as well as the portfolio that he holds. I think very interesting to see how the reaction is going to be. Definitely divided, but I mean, I think for Anwar, he has little choice but to I guess reward Zahid for that with that position, just because of the role Zahid really played in convincing Barisan Nasional MPs on bloc to support Anwar Ibrahim's government. However, what will be interesting is to see how they sort of massage that narrative with him as DPM. But Anwar has really little choice, because I think if Zahid is not empowered as Deputy Prime Minister, that will leave him open, I think, when it comes to the upcoming UMNO party elections. You have on paper, Zahid led UMNO to probably one of his most dismal performances in election history. So having this position will at least give him and some of his party comrades the ammunition to sort of make this alliance with Pakatan make sense, right?
When asked about other notable names in the cabinet, Shazwan mentioned Rafizi Ramli. For one, he said the PKR Deputy President would play a huge role in strengthening Malaysia's economy.
I would believe when Rafizi Ramli's appointment as Economic Affairs Minister, I would assume that would be a similar portfolio as to Azmin Ali during Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's time of the 2018 Pakatan Harapan administration. So that means I think Rafizi will effectively control EPU. I think in terms of resetting the economy, really I think managing the economy being the sort of benchmark or of priority of the Anwar administration, it will be interesting to see how Rafizi fits in that role. Just because previously he's always been a watchdog, right? He's always exposed, scandals, whatnot. So right now he's on the other end of the shoe. So it will be interesting to see how he navigates himself through that. I think another name that probably will stand out is Fahmi Fazil as Communications Minister. Unsurprising, because I think he has been quite consistent over the past 1 or 2 years in speaking out in Dewan Rakyat on issues regarding cybersecurity, PDPA. It would be interesting to see the kind of hat he puts on when faced with important ministry, I would say, given the fact that Malaysia is still trying to get ahead with this My Digital Blueprint. Digitization is still a priority.
Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim will also hold a special meeting on Monday to set a few conditions with the new cabinet members. The meeting will talk about the way the cabinet members should manage their respective ministries and on how to work together with civil servants. Anwar said this while making his first official visit to the Tambun constituency after he was appointed as the country's 10th Prime Minister. The Monday meeting is also expected to discuss how members should make media and policy announcements, as well as how to not waste government funds. Anwar added that the focus of the government right now is to strengthen and develop the economy. In other news, 10 Pahang Executive Council members have been sworn in, making it the second Barisan Nasional Pakatan Harapan state government to be in office. The Executive Council lineup include 8 Barisan Nasional and 2 Pakatan Harapan assemblymen.
From the Barisan side are the incumbent Excos Benta Assemblyperson Datuk Seri Muhammad Sofi Abdul Razak, Kedaus Datuk Seri Said Ibrahim Said Ahmad and Berbars Datuk Muhammad Fakhruddin Muhammad Arif. The other 5 new faces from Barisan are Razali Kasim for Muazzam Shah, Datuk Seri Johari Harun for Pelangai, Datuk Muhammad Nizar Muhammad Najib for Peramujaya, Datuk Sabariah Saidin for Guai and Fazli Muhammad Kamal for Dong. As for the remaining 2 assemblyperson from Pakatan side are Teruntum's Sim Chon Siang from PKR and Triang assemblyperson Leong Yuman from DAP. They were sworn in before Pahang Regent Tengku Mahkota Tengku Hassanal Ibrahim Alam Shah at Istana Abu Bakar.
The 5 Pakatan Harapan assemblymen will remain in the opposition when the Melaka State Assembly reconvenes on December 12. Chief Minister Datuk Seri Sulaiman Muhammad Ali told Sun Malaysia that the state government's status quo will remain intact despite a cooperation between PH and Barisan Nasional at the federal level.
Sulaiman was also quoted saying that all the assemblymen, regardless of which party they came from, would be provided with assistance and allocations to resolve local issues in their constituencies. Barisan Nasional formed the Melaka government after it won 21 seats in the state election in November last year. The 5 Pakatan Harapan assemblymen and another 2 from Perikatan Nasional formed the opposition in the 28-seat state assembly.
The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC) is speeding up a review of its online content management framework to tackle harmful content online. It noted that the current situation had given way to the spread of content that was detrimental to national security, including elements of extreme ideology and fake news.
MCMC said the regulatory framework review covers aspects pertaining to licensing, the relevance of existing penalties and introduction of new laws. It added that neighbouring countries such as Singapore, Indonesia and Australia have introduced laws that provide an oversight on social media providers, which hold them to greater accountability when managing harmful content. The statement comes after a rise of TikTok videos calling for a repeat of the May 13 riots following the 15 general elections. On Thursday, MCMC and the police called on the platform's management to provide an explanation for 3 such videos, which were published on the platform as part of paid partnerships. Last month, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akhil Sani Abdullah Sani also warned social media users against uploading content that touched on racial and religious sensitivities that could threaten public safety and order.
We will go for a quick break. Stay tuned. What are the stories that impact us today, be it within the country or from around the world? Get all the latest updates on AWANI Tonight right here on Astro AWANI Channel 501, Monday to Friday, 9:45 p.m. Also available live on all our digital platforms.
Perjuangan untuk Piala Dunia
Here is the planet's ultimate game.
adalah suatu peluang yang abadi.
Huge roar as this match gets underway.
Suatu peluang mencipta kemegahan. Inilah permulaannya.
Is this his moment?
Perlawanan peringkat kumpulan Piala Dunia Qatar 2022.
The fairy tale continues.
ke semua 64 perlawanan secara langsung hanya di Astro.
Tangkap jauhan bersama kuncu-kuncu.
Hadir! Apa you buat kat sini?
I spy, Ana. I kerja untuk agensi kerajaan. Kau datang sini buat apa? Nak bodoh kau lah!
Abang Long Fadil 3. Sewa dan stream on demand atau siri kesaluran 480.
Welcome back. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) warns of an increasing possibility of global growth dropping below 2%, a number last seen during the COVID outbreak and the 2009 global financial crisis. For Asia, Managing Director Kristalina Gergova has flagged rising inflationary pressures and China's economic slowdown as risks to region's economies. Georgieva said the economies in the ASEAN region are a bright spot in the global economy, with growth projected at 5% this year, moderating slightly next year. However, the outlook remains uncertain due to the risks posed by the fallout from Russia's war in Ukraine, global financial tightening, and a slowdown in China's growth. While inflation is expected to average only 4% in Asia this year, inflationary pressures in the region is on the rise, she said. Georgieva called on policymakers to rebuild their buffers against future shocks as there is no guaranteed sign of current situation abating. The IMF also expects more than a third of the global economy to shrink this year or next, with the United States, European Union and China stalling. Some Chinese cities where COVID-19 is still spreading are easing off on testing requirements and quarantine rules in a shift in policies after widespread protests across the country. This is despite cases nationwide remaining near record highs. Some cities lifted some district lockdowns this week as Vice Premier Sun Chun-lan, who oversees COVID-19 efforts, said the ability of the virus to cause disease was weakening. The new message aligns with what health authorities around the world have said for more than a year, but contrasts sharply with China's consistent warnings throughout the pandemic over how deadly the disease was. The policy shift comes after anger over strict COVID rules fueled the biggest protest in China since President Xi Jinping took power in 2012. Dutch prosecutors said they will not appeal the acquittal of a Russian man over the downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. The decision was made as to not add further stress to the families of the 298 people killed in the tragedy. A Dutch court last month convicted 3 men to life in prison for murder and shooting down the plane over eastern Ukraine on July 17, 2014. Oleg Pulatov was found not guilty, while Russians Igor Girkin and Sergei Dubinsky and Ukrainian Leonid Karchenko were convicted and sentenced to life in absentia. They were found responsible for bringing the missile into Ukraine, even if they had not pulled the trigger themselves. The 3 men are still at large, but the Dutch verdict did give families certainty on a number of important subjects, including Russia's role in the tragedy, which can now be used in separate civil cases. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Fana Sheh. Thank you for watching.